Hey, it's Michelle McGinnis. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm really excited you're here because I'm going to be really focusing. I am a generator. So, this information is going to be coming from that viewpoint of a generator who has innocence, motivation, and I say all that just so that you understand where I'm coming from because I am an insight person. I'm a juxtaposition insight, which means when I have something come through my viewpoint, I want to share it with the world. And I know because I study human design that for some people this resonates and for others it won't. And that's the great part of all this is I want you to understand that we're going to be talking about how to live according to your design and what that really means to live authentically, to live in your design, to live in that focal point of those hell yeses. Because for generators, and when I'm saying generators, I mean manifesting generators also, we have this amazing way to interact with our world. We're here to respond to our world. We're here to dance with it. We're here to be lit up by what we're doing. And so living in alignment means sometimes having to look at, become the observer of your world. And that in itself is a deconditioning kind of pivot. So today let's talk about how to live in your design, how to embrace your gifts and your talents, but from the perspective of alignment. And even if you're not into human design, it's okay because some of this stuff may resonate with you anyways, right? Because alignment really is a frequency. It's a feeling place. We all know when we're living in alignment. We all know that. And living in alignment means that we're feeling really amazing and good and juicy and exceptional and like time just goes away. And for generators, because it gives you energy, that it's that feeling of like there are no boundaries around me. And people can come to me with questions and problems and it doesn't drown me because I am in my current alignment of things. But it also means living in alignment is not easy, guys. It's not the easy thing because we've all been herded. We've all been conditioned that one way is the right way. This is not in any way, shape, or form condemning anything, but it shows up in governments, in our school systems, in our religions, like this is the only way, this is the way we do it, and you have to conform to that. And we're now swimming in an age where that conformity is no longer. And there's going to be a lot of people who that brings a lot of discomfort to. People who are really foundational. I think of earth signs. I think of people like me. I'm a 4/1. I'm very, very, I kind of like to know where things are going and where they're headed. And so for all of us, we have these aspects of ourselves that change is difficult. And swimming in a new ocean of opportunities and endlessness where we can't see the end feels really, really scary for a lot of us. And so living in that alignment becomes a pivotal part of understanding ourselves to a new degree that we can understand that alignment curves, and that's what I'm going to call them, curves, because alignment is not a straight shot. Alignment means you're pivoting, you're changing, you're observing, you're readjusting, you're taking a look at your compass and you're saying, I was going in this direction, but all of a sudden my alignment feels like I'm going to the left now instead of going just to the east, I'm going to the west. That's what true alignment is. It's like being open enough to see that you change, you develop, and when you change and you develop, your alignment changes. Who you want to be with, what you want to hang out with, what you want to study, what you want to pursue in your career. All of those things begin to change. But for some people, it's going to be like, but my business plan or my life plan was this. Because they had it in their head that makes me feel safe. So alignment in itself is not an easy thing. I just had a beautiful client of mine, send me a clip of Mel Robbins, and she was talking to a psychologist about living an authentic life, which to me is alignment. And I loved how she was talking about this aspect that it is not a comfortable place to be all the time. Although when you are in your alignment, that focus, that ability to like hyper do what it is that you love feels amazing. But when something comes in to disrupt that, and all of a sudden you're hanging out with people or your business partner or your employer, your partner of life, your children, all of a sudden things are not feeling right. And this is what we have a tendency to believe. We have a tendency to believe that means those people aren't right for me. or this job isn't right for me. And I always am very hesitant, and I get a little squirmish when people say, oh, that means that person's out of alignment and I've got to get rid of them, or this job isn't right for me and I got to get rid of it. I'm always very squeamish about that because I need to look at somebody's complete chart to truly understand where they're coming from, right? Are they really in their flow, or are they in their egoic part of themselves, right? Let me just preface it by saying this. It's so important for me to say this because this is what drives me nuts about anything between books and other coaches and those type of things, is that they're doing it from their perspective. That's why I always try to share who I am at the beginning of anything I do now, because I want you to understand I'm coming from an innocence kind of perspective. I'm looking at it from a big picture through my own filter. So part of people's journeys through alignment is going to be sometimes things have to change. And that's typically when I get a call from somebody, is that they see what they want. They know what's in alignment. You know how to be your authentic self. But man, sometimes that curve is so sharp, it's almost like a 90-degree angle. You can't see the end. You can't see but will it feel good if I drop all of these things, these people, places, or situations? Can I really lean into this? I know is going to feel really good, but to get there means I have to probably have sometimes you're going to have some really jarring maybe conversations. You're going to have to take a look at yourself a little harder. You're going to have to release and let go of people, places, and situations, relationships, and money sometimes. Those are all things that we as human beings clutch onto. We clutch onto the relationships, the beliefs, the ideals, the monies, because we think in clutching onto something gives us safety. And that is the illusion. I don't care what your perception is. That is the illusion we all play with as human beings, including myself. So I want to share something with you. So alignment means, to me, living in your design, embracing who you are, living authentically. In truth is a moment by moment thing that causes you to have to become a really good observer of your own life. And the observer just means, how do I feel in this? Which means you have to get out of your freaking head and get into your body. Because your head will typically want to debate everything. I always think of Virgos. Virgos always, and Geminis, Geminis can look at both sides, right? But Virgos, the debate within your head, and we all have this, by the way. We all have Gemini somewhere. We all have Virgo somewhere within us. And that's not what I mean. I mean really, truly disconnecting from the head and going into your heart space or your body, whatever you want to call it, and asking yourself these really tough questions. And for generators, it's easy because you have a sacral response. It's easier, I should say. Not always easy. My sacral response takes a while because of other aspects of my chart. But it means when you're not living the authentic life, a lot of times what happens is people either become people pleasers and just keep doing what other people want us, and it drains you. It takes away your joy. But you think in doing so, you're keeping yourself protected and you're keeping yourself safe. And swimming in an ocean of not knowing, but just going with the frequency of what feels best for you in this moment becomes key. That's why my coaching, I feel sometimes, I personally struggle with coaching sometimes without knowing somebody's true chart becomes difficult, because I never want to inundate what I feel for them. I want them to know that is their hell yes. Let's talk about the conversations. So the last couple of weeks, I've had personally some situations that I've had to let go of. I became clear it wasn't resonating with me. I knew it was going to cost me money. I was going to lose money, and it was going to cost me money. But I knew in doing that these two situations were no longer of service to me. They were in alignment with me. I've had the tough conversations, and still the truth didn't come through, because I think we both were kind of holding on to hope that somehow what I was doing was going to resonate with them, but it wasn't resonating with them. And those are tough things. And those are the times that transitions and your true alignment curve can't happen, is when you can't look at, oh, wait a minute. This is no longer, when I respond to my world, this is no longer this is where I want to be and this is what I want to do. So having tough conversations, knowing that you don't know what it's going to look like anymore. And that's truth for every energy type. We now are learning why meditation came to the United States or to the Western world, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, really is when people started to understand it, because meditation gives us a moment to pause, to be in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment is when your spidey senses, your intuition, can be activated. It works, right? It's when you go back into the mind that the intuition shuts off, because it says, I gave you the answer. You already know that this situation, this business plan, this life partner, this job is not resonating with you. So how can we look at it, or how can we work through it so that we can get back into alignment? Because we know when we're in that zone, that's when we attract things. Generators, you're attracting magnets. Generators and manifesting generators, you're attracting magnets, people. It's when you're lit up by something, somebody else is going to feel what you're putting down, and they're going to want to come to you, and they're going to want to be with you, and they're going to want to steep in your energy and feel and resonate with what you're giving off, whatever that might be. But it's difficult sometimes when you've been with a certain, let's say, friend group for a really long period of time, and the only reason you're hanging out with them still is because you've got some really good past memories, maybe, or maybe your partner really resonates with this group, and so you go because your partner enjoys the group. But being with them for a long period of time may not work, right? That's okay too. I love my partner, and sometimes, and this could be a business partner too. They really like to work with these people. I don't particularly like it, but my job isn't to actually integrate with them or work with them directly. That's their job. So I can let that part of it go. So becoming an observer, understanding that it's a feeling place. Alignment is a feeling place. You don't have to know your human design chart to know that. And third, it's okay to live with discomfort. And that's going to be ouchy for a lot of people who live in the purity of a lot of teachers out there who say, when you're in alignment, you're always in a good space. And that's true. But you can't live in this world without having some discomfort. It's what we do and how we label discomfort that becomes the gift. Because within the discomfort, we realize it's not necessarily the other person doing something wrong. Oh, they don't believe what I believe, or oh, they don't like what I like, or they always say these things that make me feel small. It's understanding that maybe the person that you're interacting with, they themselves are going through an alignment curve. And if that's the truth, it could be that that's why the breakup is happening, is that you're both going through an alignment curve and no longer need one another or desire to be with one another. And that feels ouchy. That's the discomfort. It feels very uncomfortable when you realize that you've just been doing people pleasing. Alignment means you're going to have to work through that. Alignment means that when you see the thing that no longer resonates with you, you got to walk through it. It sometimes can mean, like, I talk a lot about Chiron and how Chiron is not the thing that we run away from. We have to walk through it, right? And to me, this is part of that. Like, your alignment has to do with understanding that you're going to walk through some discomfort of things. It's not going to be easy all the time. And when we can take a breath and realize this discomfort is here to teach me, to help me understand more about what I am aligned with, and to understand that what I was aligned with yesterday may not work for me today. And guess what? That also means everyone around you has that same energy. Maybe when they were working with you, it worked, and then all of a sudden they had an alignment shift or a curve, and it no longer resonates with them. What do you do with that energy? That would be my one question. If I were coaching you, I would say, so what do you do with that energy when that happens for you, that discomfort? Do you hide from it? Do you sit and wallow in it? Do you run away? Do you put it under the rug, which is what I'd say a lot of people do? Do you blame the other person because lying in the discomfort of, oh my God, they don't resonate with me anymore. Oh, I was just showing up as my authentic self and all of a sudden they don't like what I'm saying. That's an ouchie. That feels uncomfortable. It's a vulnerability, and I get it. These two circumstances I was talking about, I had to really get okay with my vulnerability of like, this is not resonating with them. I have to let that go. And just because my ego wants to say they're bad and they're wrong and therefore I can't get along with them. They're not my people. They're not letting me speak my truth. I always get cringy when I hear people say that, because in truth is, it's okay for you to show up as yourself as long as you're not trying to change somebody. You're trying to control how they're perceiving you. And I'm saying this to myself again. I was trying to change how they were perceiving of me. I didn't want them to think ill of me. I didn't want them to think bad of me. I didn't want them to think that I was a bad coach or a bad business partner or a bad boss. I didn't want any of that. But I had to get really clear on, I'm playing in, they've pivoted. They've seen some things maybe they don't like that I do believe in or that I'm asking of them. And I have to be more fluid in letting and releasing and letting that go and not getting stuck in my power transference. You'll understand if you've studied human design deeply. My transference is power. And when I get into that power play, I now realize, oh, that is not how I need to be motivated. I don't want to move. I can't be motivated from that factor. That means my ego has kind of taken over. And instead I need to allow myself the grace of going back into my innocence. And so I had to learn for myself again, because it's constantly happening to all of us. When I run into something that does not align, it doesn't mean that anything is wrong or bad. It just means in this moment, I can look at it from a perspective of, this doesn't feel good to me anymore. And although I want to hide from it, I need to face it. I need to face it. And that's what true alignment is. It's authentic living that's pivoting all the time, that causes you to have to come into awareness, to feel what you're feeling, to understand when you maybe are pivoting more into the ego and not seeing it from a perspective of growth. And it's always the thing that keeps you from what you think you want in life, by the way. So how do we move forward in all that? Just by what I said. Just come into more of alignment of what feels right, what resonates within you. What feels the best for you? Give yourself more options. See it from a multitude of different directions. Give yourself an opportunity to look at it from their perspective in their shoes. Because when we can do that, truly is when we start to see people pivoting and not feeling the fear of saying, I love you. I still love you. I just don't see it from that perspective. And there is no ouch anymore. That's when I feel we become very spiritually smart. We become emotionally intelligent. And I think for most of us, we're still running around with a lot of wounds as a child when we've had the ouchies and we weren't told that it was okay to feel the ouch. We weren't told that it was okay for us to have those conversations, especially children to adults, to say that really hurt my feelings. And the adult not looking at the child and saying, well, I'm the adult and I know better things. It all starts from there, you guys. You know, I was a foster care worker. I worked in children's foster care for many years. And so I got to see both sides, the parent side, the foster parent side, the child side, and understanding that everyone, even a child, has a voice. It doesn't mean that we allow the child to, a child that's coming from a childlike wonder, play with that more than the child is wrong and I am right. Using it from words and terminologies that would soothe the soul and not harm a soul. Kindness, right? It's always about kindness. How we are delivering things sometimes becomes important. And your inner child needs to know that him or her being themselves is a gift that you're here to figure out and pursue. That's what truth we're all doing. Because what you loved as a child is typically the thing that you'll be doing in some fashion as you get older. But at some point in time, we were all told we were bad, wrong. And we're now walking into an age where we're understanding that there's just so much more than what we were taught in the bad, yes, right or wrong. That there is an in between, but more importantly, there is a feeling place. And that feeling place is that hell yes. That is the excitement. That is the joy. And so I want to leave that with you today, generators and manifesting generators. Like, please understand for yourself that alignment really is that place that you feel like when something appears in your world and you're like, oh, no, I don't particularly like that, or no, that's not for me, that you feel safe and secure of just saying that to yourself. You don't have to say it to the world, and then move on from it. Living in your alignment means playing in what Cynthia Sue Larson always says, how good can it get? Instead of, oh, I'm sitting in my fear of I don't know where the next thing's coming from, which is easy for all of us to do because we've all been taught that. Trust me, we've all been taught that in some aspect. And don't trust me, actually. I shouldn't even say that. Don't trust me. Think about that in your own life. When somebody has told you something and you took it verbatim because you were young and that's how the world you thought operated. And then as an adult, you start looking at it like, oh my gosh, that person thought that they had a steady Eddie job and the business closed up. Or, that person thought they had, $1 million in their bank account, and then all of a sudden the bank closed and they lost all their money. Like there are no absolutes in this world. The only absolute is you and living in your alignment and being authentic. And living in an authentic way doesn't mean that it has to offend anyone, by the way. It means that you get to show up and feel your way through your day if you don't know human design, and trusting those instinctive assets that you have within you to say, ooh, you feel like doing a podcast today instead of doing what you had planned? Go for it. See how it feels. See what happens the rest of the day. That's true alignment in one aspect. Or you're in a relationship and you've tried every which way but loose, and you just know that each one of you have had an alignment curve and you need to move away from it, and giving yourself the grace and that other person the grace to leave it, to walk away, even if it costs you money, because money is a frequency. And although in that moment you may feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose so much money, how could I do this? Trust me. From a woman who's experimented with this, and so many other people who've talked about the time that they finally let go of the one thing, which was, my bank account or my relationship that I thought I had to keep in order to feel safe and secure, and see how their life has flourished and how much more joy they have in their life, because joy is the optimal place. What is the one thing, if you're a parent, that you want for your kids? You want them to be happy. You want them to be happy and healthy. How are people happy and healthy? By following their own alignment, not yours. Your child's alignment is not yours. Your best friend's alignment is not yours. Your partner in life alignment is not yours. So become aware of that and live with joy as the forefront of all things that you do. And until next time, you guys, let me know comments, questions, concerns of anything that I've talked or discussed. And if you're looking to learn more about yourself, please consider doing a human design personal or business reading with me. I would love to connect with you. Many blessings.